done this, I thought we would give you a little instructional video with my little voice because I know that most of you are missing that. I want to say thanks to Connor McCaw, who's like, hey, Mr. Thompson, I really miss you making fun of me and harass me and that sort of thing. So I thought I would do this here for you. So hope things are doing well for you. Please get a hold of me if you have any questions. A couple of you have waited to the end of the week to kind of go, hey, I don't understand. So make sure you get a hold of me early in the process. I'm also doing Zoom meetings every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 10 in case you need clarification. And please reach out, send me an email. Don't just ghost and kind of hope that things turn out all right. So here we go. This week we're going to focus on the idea of what is the white man's burden. Okay, and so that's a weird concept, but an important one. So step one here is just watching the video that you're watching right now. Number two, you're going to go to on the Moodle here. It says, hey, watch the video about the white man's burden, record key ideas and that sort of thing. Okay, so some of you are finding some hard times every once in a while going, hey, where is this thing? So we're under imperialism and indigenous issues is the unit, and we're here is the video. So you click on that and the video will pop up for you. And that will be important to do. Just kind of an overview. What does the white man's burden really mean? From Rudyard Kipling, key important idea for you. Okay, I'd write down some key notes from that. Then step two, or the next step, it says, hey, go into the white man's burden and complete the artifact sheet. So I have already uploaded that here. So if I go to the artifact sheet, here's the notion. There's several different parts. So imperialism and the white man's burden. So it talks about all this here. Here's the history of it, what it meant. It's from a poem, a very famous poem. And it's going to explain what it actually was. So it really comes from social Darwinism. So the idea of survival of the fittest is Darwin's idea, but then they began to apply it in a social context. Therefore, the darker the skin you had, the less of a human you were, and you're on the farthest bottom part of the ladder, so to speak. The whiter or the more pure you were, you'd be at the top, and you had more rights and privilege and that sort of thing. And then Rudyard talked about it. Okay, so read through this here. That's my quick overview on white man's burden. Here's his poem. It's an excerpt from it. It's a much longer poem, but it's his excerpt from it. So take up the white man's burden. Send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile to serve your captives' need. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days. The lightly proffered laurel, that means lightly given, the easy ungrudged praise. Come now to search your manhood through all the thankless years, cold edged with dear bought wisdom, the judgment of your peers. So what is your message of this of his poem? What is Kipling saying about the process of imperialism? So the idea that the British colonies were taking over all these smaller places in Africa and around the world and colonizing them, taking them over and trying to train them. Some people thought that he was being absolutely racist here. There's more of an idea that he's actually criticizing imperialism, criticizing what they're doing, and this false sense of, oh, we have a duty to help these wild savages. So that's part of the background, the understanding there for you. Artifact 2, because of the white man's burden, is it's actually an old school Piers soap advertisement, advertising for this soap to help you focus and brighten the dark corners of the earth. So it's making fun of it, satirical, like The Simpsons would be, that kind of idea. So identify and explain the message delivered by the advertisement of white man's burden and how it relates. All of these things, both things here, is a bit of a way to help you practice for your source analysis in the future in understanding what is going on. What are the messages? What are the explicit messages? What are the underlining messages? And that's a skill that we need to develop kind of going further. Okay, so that's that piece there that you need to work on. Next, in our learning plan here, if we scroll down and we kind of look at here, hey, that read over and complete the white man's burden artifact sheet. That's the piece that I just showed you. Okay. Next, watch the transatlantic slave trade video. Okay, so if I watch that video, I have to go back to the Moodle. Oh, and I went the wrong way. I apologize. I know that I put this in from before. It's just a little bit backwards here for you. So what you want to do is this video here. It'll open up for you, and it looks something like that. So you watch this video. then at the end of watching this video, you go to think, and there's 5 multiple choice questions and a couple short answer. You need to submit that, or complete that rather. And then you go to, when you're done that, go to dig deeper, and actually just kind of click and show you what it does. It shows you some additional information. There's a whole bunch of really cool links and background and information and that sort of thing. So we talk about the racial issues that are currently present in the United States today, issues of injustice and Black Lives Matter and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk more about that later. It all comes from this whole historic transatlantic slave trade, across the Atlantic slave trade, and its origins and its roots are all in this white man's burden. Okay. Now, what you need to realize is we have scaled down and boiled out probably 70% of the social studies stuff here to make it possible for you. And so there's lots more details and pieces, but we've tried to simplify it as much as we can. Okay. So the next step for you then is, if I look on my sheet here for you, is a slavery case study. Normally we'd spend a couple weeks on this kind of thing, and you'd each do a different one, but to simplify, we're going to do this. So you're going to scroll all the way down. We've hid everything else so it doesn't get confusing to you. Past white man's burden here, and we go case studies, and we get to here, slavery. So slavery case study, I click on that, and I open it, and I click on activities. And everything you need to answer all the questions is all in here. There's a bunch of other stuff, extra stuff that you don't need, but everything you need. Where were the slave routes? And all that sort of thing. Everything you need is in this particular folder. So under activities, here's what you then need to do, is you just follow along. Maps. Examine the map titled Atlantic Slave Trade. Hey, wait a second. Maps titled Slave Trade. There you go. African slave routes. I could look at both of those. And for me, that pops up right like that. And so the notion, hey, where are the slave routes? Here's where they're coming up. They were in Africa. I can also look in here, and it says, hey, where were the slave routes? Where were the slaves coming from? Where were they going? Okay, I click on that one, and it shows me, hey, the vast majority of the slaves, looking at the colored lines here, you have to look at the graphs and the chart and what it means and that sort of thing. Most of them were coming here, and then lots were going to South America, and then here into the United States. They talk about racial issues in the United States. Why? Because the African American community was robbed from over here and brought back here. I mean, that's summarizing a couple hundred years of history in about 12 seconds. So then examine the map and read the text. African slave routes. I already showed you where that is. Create a Venn diagram in which you compare and contrast. So here, characteristic A and B. So compare and contrast the Islamic slave trade. There's different ones. So compare and contrast. You have the American, you have the Islamic. What are some similarities? Case studies. Middle passage and map of Ulidas Equiano's journey. I totally pronounced that perfect. Okay. So the idea is, hey, I look back onto my page here, and it tells me all the things that I need to do. So I can look up the middle passage that we referenced. I can look up boarding a slave ship. What was it like? Everything I need to answer these questions are in here. I won't open them all because that'll bore you to death. Okay. I continue on here. Boarding a slave ship. See, middle passage answers those questions. So you're really trying to figure what would it have been like to have been on one of these slave ships. Primary source. This means it's an original source. So it's not made to be in the Twitter world where we have a 12-second attention span, but it's written a little bit different. So read the Act of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Why would slave owners have supported such an act? So there's some analysis. This is going to take you some effort to do some thinking about that. And I can go, where do I find that? I can probably find that in here. So I look up the middle passage, and I look up everything that I need to know is in these sections here. So I can look up the acts in here. Okay. Next, I go to here. Another one. It talks about this, how he was transported. Look through that, you'll find it. It talks about this poem, another primary source. William Wilberforce, very famous abolitionist, trying to get rid of slavery. Primary source visuals, complete the deciphering the explicit message and the deciphering the implicit. So one is the most obvious one, and then other ones are hidden. Okay, so what do they differ? What are they? What does it mean? This is a high-level skill, and this is social studies to help you understand life. We don't have, if we were in class, I'd just kind of show you this DVD, but we don't have it. You can look it up online. It's a movie all about the slave trade and that sort of thing. Okay, so it's going to take you some time. It's going to take you some effort. Visuals, I got to look down here. Here's the visuals down here. The Poor, Unhappy, Untransported, that's the one I referred to as well. So these are the things. Hey, I referred to the William Wilberforce. You want to look at those things there. So everything you need to know. Deciphering the explicit or implicit message, that is there. What you're going to do is you're going to have everything on one document for this activity. It's going to take you probably a couple hours is what I think. And then you're going to hand it in here by next week, Friday. Okay? I hope that makes some sense to you. But please, if you're having issues, if you don't understand, just like in a class, I would come around and help you. But I can't do that right now. So please come and attend the Zoom meeting, give me an email, that sort of thing. But don't wait till Friday afternoon or something like that. Okay? Thanks, and have a great day.